Hey everyone, and welcome back to Gearbox. The last video we finished off the four-door Peej, finished off with like flooring, making sure it's as modular as possible. Literally the only real difference between this version and the four-door, two-door and four-door, is it's cut along here, and then there's a couple pieces added to make it longer. Nice and simple. I was working on something. You can kind of tell what it is, but it didn't work. I will be doing a specific video on it after this. And as of recording this, it might come out earlier in the week or later. I'm not sure yet. Either way, with the Peej, the base models are now complete, ready to upload, I think. Except there's a little feature that I wanted to add with the engine. And other than that, I would like to do a better gearbox and stuff, but other than that, they're done, they're ready. I just have to do the different variants, like not repairing, but updating this independent suspension setup for it, and so on. But what I wanted to do with the engine, if we look at this weird dually, it has this engine in it. It is like a W16 style thing. It's got 16 cylinders in a double bank V8. But this version has two of them. Hence why the front end is so long. It has literally 32 cylinders under the hood. It's kind of hard to... I always forget there's a flying mode. So yeah, 32 cylinders. And if I start it up... you can see they're kinda wiggling, separate from the track. Like they would in a real vehicle. Because engine mounts are usually fairly soft for comfort. There you go, there's a great angle to see it. And then if I go down and back to the exhaust, you can see the exhaust nerves too. Because why not? And that was really, really simple to do. I just took the normal spot where I mount the engine right on the bottom of the Y. I put a plate with a couple half rounds on it, and then these double-ended pieces, two springs. Ended up not needing the springs, they're just completely zero. I could probably just go straight to this mount instead of the spring, and let the torsion and rear of the engine hold it up. Yeah, it's that simple. So I'm thinking of doing that in the Jeep, but I'm not sure yet. First of all, I need to fix the sway bar, because now that we have those torsion springs, we don't need to use coilovers in the sway bar anymore. I should be able to just take that. Ooh, I do need to... okay, yeah, that's not gonna work like that. I usually build things in a certain way, and this is slightly off, so I need to remove the axles. Do like so. It should be that coming out of the differential. So let's put these in instead. So it's just with OCD and stuff, there's specific ways I like to build. And it just helps me keep it organized and stuff. And since the rack and pinion has balls on the end and only comes with ball joint, the ball side of the ball joint. I usually have the inner bit have ball joints, and then connectors like the arms and whatnot are the sockets, and then the hub has ball joints on it again. So I just need to change that up a bit. I now need to do... I was going to copy it off of the hub, but I don't want it to mess up. 5 and 4, okay. Shorten this down to 4. And stick it in the hub. If it would go where it's supposed to. Really? Oh, I see, okay. It's gonna go there, I think. Yep. I thought there was a middle, not 2 in the middle. Okay, now we grab that, put it that way. And then I need the outer CV like that, and there we go. 2 axles. Stick this together. And then take that out and put it in where it can rotate. There we go. Alright, axles are now proper. I don't know why I do my sway bars like this, with the ball there. I guess it matches with how the sway arm, or the tie rod is, but whatever. Right now, it's gonna go like this. Up. And there we go. For the other side. And I would like to make a minor change to the sway bars on it, because I would like to do something like this. Don't need that anymore. Okay, I'm gonna shorten this one by 1 block. The one that's on the driver's side. And then use one of these, so that it's easier to see that that is where you disable the sway bar. You just come up and do that. Now the sway bar is disabled, and then you want to drive normally again, you just lock it in again. It's and simple. An axle. Go. Grab. Move the dampening, bring it down to something. I'll start at 6. Go. And that is fixed. Is there anything else that I need to do? I will need to change the steering a little bit. And I want to change how its pulleys up here. It makes it fairly easy to swap the body and stuff, but I still don't like it. I think, yeah, I need to change the drive shaft as well. But for the most part, this should just slide in. I also want to change that, because I don't like using the servos to put the springs on an angle. It works really well, but I don't like doing it. It takes up way too much battery power. So let's lock that. Should have all of its steering. See, that's another issue, is I want everything to use just this one steering servo. So I'm going to take this out once it lets me. And then remove just take it off there. I'll do that for now, because normally with the independent, it would be this servo steering instead, and then it'd route the steering up to the steering wheel, so it looks like it's actually working, but I don't like doing it that way. Alright, and since I've adjusted the chassis, this no longer fits properly. The sway bar is going to hit. I no longer need this on here, because I used to do that before I realized you could do that. I also need to change the differential itself to a lower ratio. So we use the crown gear instead of a spur gear. And then instead of a 16-tooth gear to drive it, we use an 8-tooth, which drops it down to a 4-to-1 ratio, I believe, instead of like a 2-to-1. So for every at the moment, for every 4 rotations of the drive shaft, the differential will rotate once. 4-to-1. It is, for off-road vehicles, it's usually my starting ratio that I like to use in the differential. I feel like the fender is a bit off, because this part doesn't come down as far. You can tell if you look right along here, it is even. But because this fender ends up here rather than down there, it looks, I always think it's off for some reason. By the way, I now need to adjust this. That was attaching, okay, that was attaching to the battery. That's not attaching to anything. So if I bring that down to there, right, when this was electric, I had the cross member for the motor right here in the middle. But if I go, what's that made out of? Steel? If we grab some sloped beams, I could have it kind of go up like that, and it'll clear. Ooh, why is it not attaching to here? It should be attaching to the subframe, not, oops. There we go. Yeah, it should be attaching to the subframe, not chassis. Did it leave anything else behind? Nope. Alright, so let's put that on and weld it in place. Or lock it in place. I'm so used to saying stuff for Scrap Mechanic. Put that back in. And it doesn't attach for some reason. That's really weird. That should be attaching. It's not off or anything, like in a weird position. So I have no idea why it's not connecting. And then same with back here. Okay, let's shorten this. The other end ends there, so if I bring this to there, it should be fine. Okay, I think it's just not working quite right at the moment because of all of this stuff coming back and clipping through all of that. if I bring this out like that? Bring this one back. And then I'll just use a little plate, I guess. Really? It's still not working right? Why? Okay, I'm gonna move that one wheel so I can kind of see what I'm doing better. Okay. All I can think of at the moment is the larger coilovers getting in the way. I'm trying to build this thing entirely without using the scripts or anything, but it could absolutely be this causing issues right here. Because that's still not connecting, that isn't connecting, so I'm going to remove the coilovers and see if it will finally connect, which it will. Okay, so yeah, it's the coilovers. So let's copy that from here. I'm not super worried about the little gap in between. That's perfectly fine to me. I would prefer it to be one smooth, yeah, thing, but oh well. Okay, so now that that is actually lining up properly, I need to swap this out as well. Wait. Yes. Because it needs to be turned. So I'm going to put this over here on the output for the front, and then that'll go to there with... Do I have one laying around? No. I deleted it already. I'll just use this one. There we go. And then we use this. And it goes to there. And then it gets routed over there. So it actually spins properly. Because in the other differential it's just moved over. And then let's take that and put it Let's just put it here. Nice and tucked out of the way. Alright, that should work. I just have to put the coils on again. But it's not liking it because of how big they are. Technically their hitbox is a little bit bigger and it does cause issues. So, have a sip of my coffee and kind of think about it for a moment. I could move it out by a block in line with these, but that would reduce suspension travel, and I don't want that. And it would also kind of get in the way of the wheel. I could figure out how to lower it down by a block, but I don't think I can do that without putting a part inside of another part. Because of this. So, let's grab the small one and see what it does. Just just the normal small one. I could also do it like torsion springs. There's a lot of vehicles like the Ford Ranger and whatnot where for the springs on the independent front suspension they don't use coilovers or anything. It's a bar on the lower arm that goes back to the cross member, and the torsion of it, or the twisting of it, is what gives it the springy effect, kind of like a sway bar. Speaking of, I could do that for this. Absolutely. But I don't like it. I don't like that style of suspension at all. So I want to try and keep it with coils. So shorten that. If I have to use the scripts just for this part because of the springs, it's not a huge deal. I'll do it. But I want it so that anyone can use this. I want it so basically anyone can just download it from the workshop, and if they want to mix and match parts from the different variants, they can. Just nice and simply. As if you haven't seen my previous video on this, if I go to the back, undo the pin for the rear track bar, the entire rear end is supposed to come out, but it all got locked together again for some reason. Really? This is why I try to not do lock all, but yeah, see, the entire rear end just comes out, and you can swap it out for something else. Put it back in, you just put it back in and lock it, and I want this to be the same way. So, either way, let's see how it is with those. Let's wheel back on. Get over here. Yeah, way too soft at the moment. I have a feeling they aren't strong enough. Why I was using the other one. Yeah. They aren't nearly strong enough. Especially without being on an angle. So I will have to use the builder tool. I'll put in the description of it when I finally upload it that the independent front end requires the builder tool just because of the coilovers. I could adjust the chassis, but really don't want to put a weird, like, random kind of hole in it. So, yeah. Oh. It seems a little stiff at the moment. Where's the sway bar? It's a little stiff. So let's bring it down to 55. Let's see what that... Barely anything. Is the rear end too soft? Where's the sway bar? The rear sway bar is pretty much straight, but the front one going down ever so slightly still, so let's go down by 2 more. That's the one thing I don't get, is the small one maxes out at 50. If I set this one to 50, it'll still be stronger, even though it's the same number. It's such a pain in the butt with this. Yeah, see? I also need to... I could either bring this out one and over, or the way it is. How far out? This comes out and over, I think, for the same reason. Yep. Okay, I will adjust that as well in a moment. But I want to get springs lined up properly, or adjusted properly. This is the part that takes the longest, is just tuning and getting everything how you really want it to be. It's still down too much. Yeah, now it's lower technically than the max of the other spring, and it's still too stiff. Closer. One or two more. I got 3 minutes left already. These videos go by way too quickly. I can't wait to start building something for real. I want to take a reel for it, or a Jeep, like a JKU or something, and turn it into the perfect, like, off-road apartment. Something I can live in anywhere. Literally anywhere. I grew up basically doing what people call overlanding now. Before, back when it was just off-roading and camping. So that's kinda my favorite thing to do. Yeah, I want to make sure... Yeah, there's no steering on it. But I want to make sure it all rotates the right way. Really? What's causing issues? Is it just the front end causing issues because steering? This is a very simple way to put a steering stabilizer on your independent suspension. I will show it better in a moment. Go. So yeah, you take your steering, put it towards your rack, and then just put like this bell crank kind of thing onto a coilover, set your dampening, no spring rate, just damping. And then, yeah, except for that's not going to work. So off it goes. There's a few vehicles that I did it this way in, and it works quite well. Right, that should have steering now. So if it works right, it'll go forwards and backwards, even in forward drive. Except the thing is locked up for some reason. I probably forgot to set something to rotate. Yep, there we go. And it's... Oh, okay, hold on. I forgot to set the rear sway bar to be able to move again. There we go, that helps. Much better. The front end is way too bouncy. I'll need to stiffen the damping on it, but it moves. Okay, it's fine in two-wheel drive. put it into 4. Can't see the actuator, so I think Z is to put it into 4. And it seems to be working. I'm gonna grab a pin really quick. I'm technically out of time now, but yeah. Put a pin in the bumper, let it hang down. Front and back have similar suspension travel. Actually, the front end might have a bit more. It's because of... it does. It's because the, it's mounted one in from the pivot point, whereas the rear end is on top of the axle. The front end now has a bit more suspension travel. But so I changed that. C is to activate forward equipment. But everything seems to be working. So aside from adjusting coilovers, this is basically done. Like the front end independent conversion is. And I typically use this independent for the race version. That's the main use for it. Okay, let me guess. The rear end is actually too low now. Ooh, it is. The rear end is too soft. Okay. What is it set to? 42. I might have to put bigger ones on the back as well. The front end is so bouncy. But yeah, I'm gonna have to adjust all of this. I'll do it off camera, especially since I'm out of time. And then I will make the engine wiggle like it should in the next one. But this is, whoopsies, updated now to how it should be. I just need to paint it, adjust these like I said, and yeah. So hopefully sooner than later I have this to fix, not fix, but update, and then I have another rear end that I need to do. See, this has the independent, although it has longer coils on it for racing. And I think it's down a bit lower too. But yeah, I need to update this race version with the new body, new chassis and everything. Sway bar goes back on this one? Why did I swap those? On the normal version, the sway bar goes to the front and the coils are on the back. But on this version, the coils are on the front and the sway bar's on the back. I might have done that for the steering. Not sure. Oh, right. Okay, this piece here replaces that. Or at least it used to. And then here you can see the steering stabilizer up there. Okay. Either way, as I was saying, it has a triangulated 4-link with trailing arms on the back. So that also needs to be updated and stuff, but it actually handles and drives really well. I'm hoping that once I finish updating it all, it'll be even better. This version is pretty much the same, but with a proper interior in it and like a fastback style roof. It still has the independent, and then there's also a version with a straight axle in the front still, which I also need to update. Yeah, I still need to update this as well. Get all the suspension travel on the back though. Like, there's so much suspension travel. Oh yeah, this has dual rate on the back. I forgot I put dual rate coilovers on the back of this. No wonder it has so much travel. So yeah, either way, eventually this will be turned into that again. Fully updated and how it's supposed to be. This electric version is still really fun though. I will be keeping a few of the current versions like this. Now that the doors are backwards from each other. But as you can tell, it still needs a little bit of tuning and work and stuff. Come on, go. It's definitely got some torque issues. But I love how this thing looks like this. It's like a big truck with long travel suspension, big mean straight axles under it. Well, not a truck, it's a Jeep, but still, SUV. I really like how this thing looks. And it does wheelies, apparently. I haven't driven this thing in a long time. Yeah, it still also has the 3-speed in it. You can kind of see it there moving under the Peej logo. Why is the suspension doing that though? It's not supposed to be so high. It's supposed to basically ride on the bump stops. Whatever. Let's put it into third. And watch the suspension as we go down the hill. That's the best part. Come on. On the other map, the one where it's just kind of desert with nothing and all the mountains, this thing will climb the mountains no problem. Crazy. But either way, as usual, if you have any tips, tricks, questions, anything you'd like me to check out, feel free to leave it in the comments below. And as always, I hope you enjoyed, and thanks for watching.